Welcome to the Dopamine Fix Cinema Channel. So today I want to talk about the Xmen and how the MCU should handle them. You see, with the cinematic debut of the Xmen by Fox Studios, us fans were so hyped. Even though things were different from the comics, it was overall still so great to have our favorite characters appearing in live action form. Geekdom rejoiced. But after the second film, it started to become painfully clear that Fox Studio was more interested in flashy cameos and wham bam gotcha action sequences than the amazing stories and subplots that kept fans coming back for more in the comics every month across a plethora of titles. And Fox just kind of got totally lost in the sauce of bigger is always better. Here's a hot take. One of the biggest questions asked by fans, critics of the MCU is where the X-Men have been throughout all these years. That's a question that needs not to be answered. The worst thing Marvel could do is try to explain away everything. It doesn't matter. There they are now and have a story to tell. Also, not everything needs to be connected. Marvel really needs to take notes from James Gunn and just focus on bringing the comic book pages to life with these films. If a character never reveals their face, then don't reveal it in the MCU. It's not rocket science. Quit killing off characters that are not dead in comics. And if an actor doesn't want the role anymore, recast, don't explain it, simple. If Marvel is going to succeed with bringing the X-Men and mutants into the MCU, they have to learn a lesson that Fox and so many other franchise properties failed to figure out. Bigger is not always better. We don't need a larger threat in every single film. We don't need countless cameos or bigger and better action sequences or gimmicks. What we need are faithful adaptations of the source material that birthed some of the best storylines in comic book history. You see, the X-Men are not Superman, able to constantly keep helping humanity all the time, all over the planet. They would like to, but at the end of the day, they're people with special abilities, but still have to rest, recuperate, and decompress from the traumas and ostracism that they face from the very people that they're trying to help. As they say, the road to hell really is paved with good intentions. To help deal with the myriad issues facing the X-Men both locally and abroad, the X-Men are divided into various teams that are uniquely equipped to handle a variety of different issues. For example, we have the X-Men Blue and Gold teams, each with a different roster of heroes and leaders to handle issues in the field. Marvel, in turn, should feature one MCU film with each team running concurrently. So X-Men Blue team first, followed by the next year with the X-Men Gold Team film, with the occasional crossover of members in each film as the comic-based storylines dictate. The X-Men Blue Team is led by Cyclops and features Wolverine, Beast, Rogue, Gambit, Psylocke, and Jubilee. This dynamic provides a team with multiple range fighters in Cyclops, Jubilee, and Gambit. Close quarters combat strengths with Wolverine, Rogue, Beast, Psylocke, and Gambit. Recon abilities with Rogue providing aerial support in Overwatch, and Psylocke able to use her telepathy to get the upper hand on intel before engaging and serving as a communication link between the team members, using their telepathy to link their minds together to lessen the need to rely on gadgets for communication. While Cyclops is a leader providing excellent strategic planning and play calling in the field, Beast can double as both the bruiser, advice giver, and field medic. The X-Men Go team, which was featured in the 90s Uncanny X-Men issues, is led by Storm, who along with Iceman provide Omega-level elementalists who can control and alter their environment. Jean Grey, also being an Omega-level mutant and one of the highest-level telepaths and telekinetics, provides comms by linking every member mentally, altering the minds of the people the team is fighting, providing safety with telekinetic shields, and more. Colossus is the brawn of the team, providing hard-hitting blows and humanity to know when enough is enough, while Archangel provides support from the air and can deliver devastating blows with his techno-organic feathers that are tipped with poison that renders his victims paralyzed. And then we have the time-displaced mutant cop, Bishop, who joins the team later, and with law enforcement background and the ability to absorb and redirect kinetic energy in the form of energy blasts, make him a very strong member of the X-Men Go team. In my opinion, for Marvel to do justice with the mutant teams X-Men have and the X-related teams, they should make films of the individual adventures they embark on in the MCU instead of trying to wrap whole decades of comics into a singular film, which results in rushed storytelling that leaves a lot of the character work on the cutting room floor. So, in the comics, The X-Men Blue Team have an amazing battle that they actually lose against Magneto and his acolytes on Asteroid M, which will showcase how the X-Men try to police other mutants but aren't always winning their battles, and can feature the cameo of Nick Fury to establish that connection to the wider MCU. In another story, it could feature the X-Men Blue Team traveling to the Soviet Union to save a recently kidnapped Wolverine from Omega Red, who has a score to settle against Wolverine and his old Team X members of Sabretooth and Maverick. This, while being a smaller story in overall scope, really gives the audience a different view of Wolverine and battles with this patch catching up to him. In another story that would make for a great sequel, the X-Men Blue Team had to deal with the crossover introduction of Bishop and the smoke Bishop has for Gambit, calling Gambit a traitor to the X-Men. We'll get to see Gambit's wife and his connections to the Thieves Guild and their beef with the Assassins Guild, which would all be refreshing content to the MCU and X-Men film dynamics for them to explore. The X-Men Blue Team traveled to New Orleans with Gambit and encountered Ghost Rider and the larger battle against the Brood, an alien race with hive mind intellect, and for a time served as a metaphor for the Xenomorphs from the Alien franchise in the Marvel Comics. This would make for an excellent introduction to both Ghost Rider and the Brood to the MCU, not unlike how Spider-Man and Black Panther being debuted in the MCU through the Civil War film. The X-Men Blue Team also go to the fan-favorite Mojo World and have massive zany adventures there, and can introduce Longshot, who is another offbeat character fans would rejoice in having in live-action form. And while these storylines appear bombastic, they are also full of character developments and group synergies, and provide amazing stories of fun action sequences and even some cool, obscure cameos, which serve as a palate cleanser before some of the bigger, more MCU-wide stories come into play, like Executioner Song, that will likely need to play out over several films. Now, with the X-Men Go team, one of their first missions that would make an amazing standalone film is when Emma Frost recruits this X-Men Go team to assist protecting the Hellfire Club during one of their galas because members of the club are being assassinated. This story introduces a time-displaced mutant cop Bishop who is chasing down Trevor Fitzroy, a mutant with the ability to time travel and who is on a murder spree. This story features a cyborg Donald Pierce and his mutant-hating Reavers, reprogrammed Sentinels, fan-favorite Lady Deathstrike, and the demise of the Emma Frost-led team Hellions. This is a globe-trotting tale that bounces from New York and distant lands as Bishop leaves a path of destruction trying to capture Fitzroy, while the X-Men try and subdue Bishop and later recruit him to their team. We also get the appearances from notables like Mutant Shinobi Shaw, son of Sebastian Shaw, Games Master, Selene, and the mutant X-Men ally, Sunfire. Real care would need to be taken with this story as there's a lot going on over the course of the story. Another story that would make for a great film with the X-Men Gold team is when they are sent to deal with a massive conflict brewing underground between Callisto and the Morlocks, which features the iconic idea of Bishop wanting to stop the traitor of the X-Men. I imagine this story with a lot of close-quarter action and body horror, as many of the Morlocks are mutants whose abilities disfigured them in some way that makes it obvious that they are mutants and sometimes are even monstrous in appearance to everyday citizens. Some of Storm's most iconic moments are also in this story, and we'd finally get the real cinematic showcase of Mr. Sinister, one of my favorite villains right after Apocalypse. Eventually, the two teams do work together when the threat of strife, Mr. Sinister, and Apocalypse emerge during the Executioner Song conflict and a legacy virus being released. This is an epic story that would require multiple films to tell and features so many iconic mutants from Cable and his team X-Force, Apocalypse, Mr. Sinister, Strife, and the Mutant Liberation Front. The current X-Men rosters of Blue and Gold teams and X-Factor are all involved in this story. As you can see, these stories alone give enough action and heartfelt content to span many years of films. Let's not forget we also have the amazing stories from X-Factor, some of which are best done with the detective agency roster of the team. But y'all let me know in the comments which version of the X-Factor team is your favorite. Next, there's the iconic X-Force team, which while may best be known for being a group led by Cable, my personal favorite stories are the team put together by Cyclops and used as a Black Ops team, featuring the hit squad of Wolverine, Archangel, Psylocke, X-23, Deadpool, and Phantom X. There are so many great and personal stories to mine from the X-Men comic books, but the most important thing will be to maintain faithfulness to the source material, to the spirit of how the characters are in the comics, and to focus on the characters opposed to flashy spectacle. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on the X-Men coming to the MCU and my thoughts on separating the films into smaller stories with different teams. I really don't want to see kid versions of the X-Men like Fox Studios did with the First Class, or origin stories, as I feel it has been unanimously decided by cinema history that origin stories are bored and tired. The audience doesn't need things explained to them, just great stories, and we could also use with some phenomenal villain stories. I hope y'all enjoyed this video and will tune in for more Dopamine Fix Cinema.